20% of the world's oil moves through a channel that is, at its narrowest point, just 33 kilometers wide. Close it for 48 hours, and you don't just spike gas prices, you reprice global trade itself. Today, we're not talking about the missiles, we're talking about the spreadsheet. Because while generals plan for Hormuz, it's insurers, shippers, and CFOs who actually live with this risk every single day, and almost nobody explains how they do it. Hormuz isn't dangerous because it's contested territory in the news headline sense. It's dangerous because it's a geographic bottleneck with no real detour. Tankers leaving Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the UAE have one practical route to open water. There is no pipeline network, no alternate strait that can absorb that volume on short notice. That single fact, zero redundancy, is what makes this 33-kilometer gap one of the most expensive pieces of geography on Earth. Here's the part the news cycle skips. Every time tension rises near Hormuz, marine insurers don't wait for a missile to fly. They reprice. War risk premiums on tankers transiting the strait can jump from a fraction of a percent to several percent of a vessel's insured value within days, sometimes hours. That's not paranoia. That's underwriters pricing probability in real time using satellite tracking, naval incident reports, and historical seizure data. A shipping company's finance team watches that premium line the way a trader watches a stock ticker. Shipping companies don't just absorb this risk passively. They hedge fuel costs, anticipating rerouting scenarios. They negotiate war risk clauses into charter contracts that pass cost spikes to cargo owners. And some maintain standby capacity on the longer route around the Cape of Good Hope, even though it adds roughly 2 weeks and significant cost. Purely as a contingency they can activate without renegotiating from zero. This is contingency planning measured in actual line items on a balance sheet, not abstract risk talk. For companies dependent on oil-linked input costs, airlines, petrochemical manufacturers, freight operators, Hormuz risk shows up as a line in quarterly hedging strategy. Smart CFOs run scenario models, a 7-day partial closure, a full closure, a tension without closure scenario where premiums spike but flow continues. Each scenario has a pre-built financial response. The companies that get hurt worst aren't the ones in the strait's shadow. They're the ones who never modeled the scenario at all. This isn't only an energy story. Insurance costs ripple into shipping rates ripple into consumer goods prices. And currency markets move on Hormuz headlines because oil exporting economies are tied to it. The lesson scales. Any business with a supply chain dependency on a geographic choke point, whether it's a strait, a canal, or a single port, carries this same category of risk, just at a different size. Geography is still the most underpriced risk factor on corporate balance sheets. Companies spend enormous resources on cybersecurity, on currency hedging, on legal compliance, and then leave a 33-kilometer choke point as an afterthought. That gap between how much this risk matters and how little it gets modeled is exactly where the next expensive surprise comes from. If your business touches global trade in any way, ask yourself, do you know your Hormuz? Because next we're going further into the shadow fleet, quietly defeating the sanctions built to stop exactly this kind of flow. This is the Katakyie brief. While everyone talks about the military side of geopolitics, we track the boardrooms, the balance sheets, and the breakthroughs that quietly redraw the map. Because the next war for power won't just be fought with weapons, it'll be fought with technology, capital, and ideas. If you want to stay ahead of that shift, subscribe, share this with someone building in the space, stay sharp, stay ahead. This is the Katakyie brief.